This is Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan game with over 251,000 different Pokemon combinations. And we're here today to see if we can beat a hardcore Nuzlocke using only Beedrill Fusions. That means if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace. No active items can be used in battle, and we play the games on set mode. This week is the 2-year anniversary of my first ever Infinite Fusion run, which is the real start to the channel, and our first ever video was a Beedrill run. So we're seeing if we can recreate the magic once again. But we're not going to be playing the game on classic mode this time. No, we're going to be playing on the much more difficult remix mode. In remix mode, the leaders' types and teams have been revamped and they are a lot harder. Additionally, the pool of available wild Pokemon incorporates every single Pokemon in Infinite Fusion, which means we're gonna get some absolutely wild fusions for our little bug boys. And if you like the video or the sound of my voice, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if this isn't your first time here, you should double check and make sure you're subscribed. Over 70% of the people that watch my videos aren't subbed, so just double check. It would be really cool if you did. But without further ado, let's get things started. Starting off in Professor Oak's lab, I actually decided to start with the Johto starters this time around, and we're gonna choose Cyndaquil. So let's go ahead and take that Cyndaquil and fuse it up with Beedrill to get ourselves Cyndaquil. And now it's going to be time for us to take on Rando in our first ever rival battle. Rando starts off with a double fused Dratini and we send in Cyndaquil. And we're going to go for a Tweedle right away, doing just about 50%, and it decides it wants to wrap us up. So we're going to go for another Tweedle, getting it down into the red and poisoning it, which is fantastic. And even though the wrap is going to get us down to about 50%, we can successfully take down the Teeny, defeating Rando. And after bringing Professor Oak his mysterious package, let's see what types of Pokemon we can capture before facing off against Brock. Over on Route 1, we're going to grab a Fletchling. Over on 22, we're going to grab a Teddy Ursa. Over on the Secret Garden, we can grab a 2-for-1 with an Igglychew. And while we're in here, we might as well also grab our Rockruff egg. Over on Route 2, we're going to grab a Hoot. In Viridian Forest, we're going to grab a Caterpie. We're then going to grab a Spearow over on Route 22, so that way we can trade it for Belly in the Viridian Pokemon Center. And we're also going to grab our Love Disc, because I think we're going to need all the help we can get. And finally on Route 3, we can grab an Elekid. For our next fusion pair, we are going to fuse Elekid up with our Beedrill to get ourselves Eladrill. Next up is going to be Teddy Ursa in Beedrill, so we can grab ourselves this adorable little Beersa. Next up, we're going to hatch our Rockruff and then fuse that up, and check out how cute Beeruff is. And now it's time for us to take on Brock and his Steely Steel boys. Our duck comes in first and we send in Taser. And I'm going to go for a Thunder Shock, getting it down super low as a Headbutt does a bit of damage, but we can take it down. This leads into Stee Jr. And I'm going to go for a Mudslap, lowering this thing's accuracy, and fortunately it misses a Confusion, so we might as well keep on going for it here. It then misses on a Rock Throw, but it's going to heal up with a Citrus Berry as we continue to lower its accuracy. From here we can go for a Tweedle, but it doesn't do a damn thing as a Rock Throw comes in, activating our own berry. So I guess I go back to Mudslaps here. And we're going to continue lowering its accuracy as it manages to keep on hitting me with Rock Throw, which is super frustrating. But after a couple more Mudslaps, we take it down, defeating Brock. Just outside of Mount Moon, we run into Nurse Joy tending to this wounded Geodude. When out of nowhere, upon the back of his mighty Arduck, Brock comes rushing in. But he accidentally trips and has the Arduck use Water Gun, spraying the Geodude. And we all know that's times 4 super effective, finishing the Geodude off immediately. And Nurse Joy needs to rush back to the Pokemon Center for some supplies, leaving Brock and this Geodude all alone. And in Mount Moon, we're gonna grab ourselves an Aeron. And we're also going to buy a Magikarp from this sucker. While fighting our way through Mount Moon, Blazer is going to evolve into a Quidrill. At the back of Mount Moon, we run into Team Rocket. And it seems as though they're attempting some sort of triple fusion experiment. And while that sounds super cool, it must be evil, because we all know Team Rocket. And after the 3 Rocket Stoners get slapped onto the slabs, Giovanni commands the grunts to turn on the machine. And when it explodes, the Rocket, Grunts, Starters, and Giovanni all blast off to parts unknown. And I stuff Lord Helix in my bag. And on Route 4, we're going to grab ourselves a Ferroseed. And we're also going to grab ourselves a Bulbasaur from the Cerulean City Pokemon Center. Wanting to fill up our team a bit, we are going to fuse Beedrill and Aaron up to grab ourselves our drill. And then finally, fusing up with Gyarados is going to give us Drill. As we approach Nugget Bridge, we are ambushed by Rando, who lets us know that our dream of saving the bee population is stupid and dumb because Beedrill is stupid and dumb, and there's more than enough honey for everyone. He then takes out a jar of honey and begins caressing his chest with it. And all that does is fire up my Beedrills who are ready to battle. Rando starts off by sending in Cottonix, and we send in our drill, who I forgot to name. We're gonna go for a Tweedle, doing just over 50% and getting the poison off, which is great as it goes for a Spark, paralyzing us. On the following turn, Rando's gonna heal up with a Super Potion, and I can't do a damn thing. So, we're gonna swap out, and I'm gonna send in Blazer as it goes for a Stun Spore. Are you kidding me? It's gonna hit me with a Spark, and I can fire up with an Ember, getting it down low enough, but the poison takes it down. Now in comes Dratini. And I'm gonna swap out again and send in Gyarados as this thing goes for a Dragon Rage, which is very frustrating. But just so you all know, we're gonna be playing with Dragon Rage claws here, so if I do go down, it's totally fine. Anyways, I punch myself in confusion. I need to swap out Gyarados, and I'm gonna send in Bonk as it goes for another Dragon Rage. And going for a bite, we're going to get it down, activating its berry, and then Bonk, it's going to be temporarily indisposed, which leads into Taser. And we're going to go for another Tweedle, getting it down quite low, as a Dragon Rage do what Dragon Rage do, and Rando's a dirty cheater. And for anybody that doesn't know, Dragon Rage Claws basically means that before you get your second badge, effectively Dragon Rage doesn't count. Anywho, we're going to start swapping around a bit here, and then Pooh's going to come in, taking a Swift. We're going to go for a Stab Tweedle, getting the EV down quite low as another bite does what it does, and we can then take it down, which leads into Goomy, who's going to protect on the first round because it's a total jerk, and then goes for a bite, excuse you, but Tweedle takes it out, and we defeat Rando. I attempt to recall my Pokemon, but it doesn't work because he's slathered in glorious honey. So Rando and his Goomy need to run away as quickly as possible. On Route 24, we grab an Abra. After crossing Route 24 and 25, we run into Bill in his lab, where he's hanging out with his good buddy Rhydon. So good, in fact, that he decides to give this big burly boy a big ol' hug, but he didn't realize that there was a fusion splicer in his pocket. And now Bill, fused with his best friend, doesn't know what to do. He asks us if we can help him defuse the situation. And of course, Bill, I would love to. But when we activate the machine, Bill comes out on the other side. What the hell happened to the Rhydon? Facing off against Misty, Taser is going to evolve into an Electrodrill. And now it's time for us to take on Misty and her Icy Ice Pokemon. Aurora comes in first, and we send in our drill. Its Snow Warning is going to activate when it comes in, but we're going to go for a Sunny Day as it goes for a Thunder Wave. After that, it's going to go for a Rock Throw, doing a bit of damage, and an Iron Head takes it out, which leads into Frost Wrath. Who's gonna go for a big ol' Smoochie Kiss, and we can go for an Iron Head, doing a bit of damage. After getting hit with a Bubble Beam, a Rock Tomb is gonna knock it down well below half, activating its berry. Another Bubble Beam is gonna come in, activating our own berry, and we can go for another Rock Tomb, getting it down into the red, lowering its speed even more. Misty is then gonna heal up, and we can go for another Rock Tomb. And at -3, we get knocked down to just 5 HP. Now that this thing's at -4, we're going to swap out, setting in Taser as it goes for an Icy Wind, which is going to lower our speed. But since this thing's at -4, we outspeed it with a Shockwave, taking it down. And with that, we defeat Misty. On Route 5, we're going to grab ourselves a Natu. On Route 6, we're going to grab a Murkrow. While fighting our way to Vermilion, Bonk is going to evolve into a B-Rock. And I don't know what this is a reference to, but I love it. It is holding a surfboard. What is this thing? You can guess what we grab in Diglett's Cave. And on Route 11, we're going to grab a Joltik. In Vermilion City, we're going to fish up a Krabby. And we're also going to give this guy a shoe, so he gives us a Wooper. We're also going to grab a Claw Fossil from this dork, and a Swirlix on the SSN. We run into Rando over on the SSN. Where he's covered in bee stings. Oh my gosh, Rando, I am so sorry. But there's no time for that. It's time to battle. Yard comes in, and we send in Blazer. I'm going to go for a Flame Wheel, getting him down to his Focus Sash as he decides to go for a Metaclaw, doing a whole lot of nothing. Rando's then going to heal up with a super potion, and one more flame wheel brings down the Niniyard, leading into Hormy. And we're going to swap out Blazer and send in Teefs, getting the Intimidate off on this thing as it goes for a water gun. After that, it goes for a Bide, which is a wicked douche move, and we're going to get it down just below half and poison it, which means it should be safe for us to go for another Tweedle, taking Hormy down, which leads into Solafi. And once again, we're going to go for a Tweedle because it's going to be super effective, getting him down to about a third as he heals up. And going for a Stored Powered, it doesn't do a lot because he hasn't buffed himself at all, so Tweedle takes it out. And here comes Delamise. And where the heck did this guy get a Haunted Anchor? But we can go for some Tweedles as he goes for a Gyro Ball. And I realized I should have chomped him, so we do that instead, getting him down quite low as a Rapid Spin activates our berry. And with one more chomp, the Delamise goes down, and Rando's final Pokemon, Cottonuxio, comes in. So let's go for another Tweedle, getting him down to about 50% as it goes for a Stun Spore. After that, a Razor Leaf gets us down quite low, but we can take it down after one more round. With that, we defeat Rando. And Rando, I don't know if you're allergic, but please take this EpiPen for the goodness sake. Needing to change up our party just a little bit, we are going to fuse Xatu up with Beedrill, and check out Zadrill. We're also going to fuse up Igglybuff and Beedrill and get ourselves this little bee buff. And look at him spewing all that honey. We're now going to have Bee Buff start evolving first into Bee Puff, and then one more time into Bee Tough. And now it's time for us to take on Lieutenant Surge and his Fighty Fight Boys. Coughloon comes in and we send in Raton. I'm going to go for an Air Slash right away, taking down Coughloon, which leads into Flatty. I am going to set up a Tailwind after that as this thing decides to go for a Thunder Punch, doing just about half. And after that, we're going to go for a Confuse Ray, and he punches himself in the face. Now we're going to swap out and send in B-Tough, who I forgot to name, and he snaps out of it already. Are you kidding me? I'm going to then go for a Stockpile as I tank another Thunder Punch, and I get healed up by my berry. We're then going to get to Stockpile 2 as another Thunder Punch comes in, getting me down into the red. And then when I Smoochie Kiss this thing down to about half, I can start healing up. And with another Smoochie Kiss, this thing is down really low as another Thunder Punch comes in. Knowing Surge is going to heal up, I'm going to go for one more Stockpile, getting to 3. And I'm going to start smooching Flatty again to try to heal myself back up. And these Thunder Punches are honestly still doing a lot more than I expected them to. But after we go for 2 more Smooches, I score a crit, getting myself back up to full once Houndlade comes in. The Houndlade is going to outspeed me with a Flame Charge, but at +3, it does basically nothing. And a big ol' Smoochie Kiss is going to get him down to about a third, healing him up with his berry. After that, he's going to go for a bite, flinching me, which is super annoying, and I flinched 2 times in a row, excuse you. But another Smoochie Kiss takes it down, and Be Tough was just tough enough to defeat Lieutenant Surge. On Route 9, we're going to grab ourselves a Miltank. On 10, we grab a Mareep. In the Power Plant, we grab Trubbish. In Rock Tunnel, Machop, as well as our Honedge. Robo-Drill is also going to evolve, becoming Lair-Drill. We run into Rando over in Pokemon Tower, mourning the loss of his Double Fused Dratini. Apparently the little fella was incredibly weak to bee stings, despite dragon types not being weak to bug or poison. Rando vows vengeance upon our bugs and challenges us to a battle, ending in Whimsiccio, which was probably a terrible idea, and we send in B-Tough, who I still didn't name. It's going to go for a Leech Seed, which is incredibly frustrating because I honestly wanted to just set up a bunch of stockpiles, but he's going to Volt Switch out into Delta as I set up a second layer. So let's swap out and send in Teefs as this thing goes for a Flame Wheel. I can then go for an Aqua Tail, taking Delta down, which leads into Gligar, who can avoid the spikes but can't avoid a big old tail to the face, leading into Duavi. So we're going to chomp this thing, get it down quite low, activating its berry. It fires off a Shadow Ball, does like not a lot, and then he heals up. This thing also has Magic Cards, so the poison's not doing anything, but we can then take it down with some more bites, leading back into Whimsiccio, who gets the Intimidate on us, which is a little frustrating, but we're going to swap out into Blazer as it goes for a Giga Drain, doing basically nothing to us. We can then fire off a Flame Wheel, getting him down quite low, and a Giga Drain will heal him up just a bit, but it poisoned you, silly goose. See ya. This leads into See Me. And I do see you, but we're gonna swap out Blazer and send in Taser as a Dragon Breath comes in doing some damage. I'm then gonna set up a light screen as it goes for another Dragon Breath. And we can then go for a Tweedle, getting it down to about half, as Dragon Breath is effectively doing nothing to us now. And after another Tweedle, we can successfully take down See Me. Which leads into his final Pokemon, Niniyard, who can't be poisoned, but it can be punched in the face with Thunder, getting it down to its Focus Sash as he tries to U-turn out, but there's nowhere left to run. And we can outspeed it thanks to the Paralysis taking it down, and we defeat Rando. After the battle is done, I try to apologize to Rando, but this is exactly why I gave him the EpiPen in the first place. Always important to know your allergies, Rando. But just then we hear a crash and some screaming on the other side of the room, and we go and investigate it. And this is when we see Team Rocket, and they're harassing this old guy. What could they possibly want with this old guy? The Rocket Grunts then drag this man up the stairs, locking it behind them. When Rando and I try to open the door, it turns out that it is indeed locked. Therefore, we need to find a key to help this guy. Rando then suggests that maybe we find an adult. But Rando, you don't understand. We are adults. On Route 8, we're going to grab ourselves a Sandshrew. On Route 7, a Houndour. In the game corner, a Scyther. On 16, a 2-for-1 with a Ponypede. And in the condos, our Eevee. Outside the Celadon City Gym, we run into Rando beating up a couple of Rocket Grunts. And after they dash off, Rando lets us know that we're absolutely right. We are adults, and we can save that old man. When Rando was gambling away his life savings inside of the game corner, he found out that it's actually run by Team Rocket. And after some investigation, he found that Team Rocket has a super secret underground base here in the sewers of Celadon City. He reaches his hand out to me. I forgive you, Soap. I should have probably had that EpiPen anyways. Will you help me take down Team Rocket? Yes, Rando, of course I will! But before we head into the sewers together, Rando wants to head over to the mall to grab a bunch of medicine, just in case. And good thinking, Rando, I'll wait right for you here. Now enter Erica, the local gym leader, who can smell the honey and pheromones all over us. And her and her grassy goons are overcome with an undeniable attraction to us. She would like to help us stop Team Rocket in their super secret underground base. And Erica, how could I possibly say no to you? Sorry, Rando. But the pheromones, they call. And in that super secret underground base, we're gonna grab a Magnemite. After fighting our way through the base and getting separated from Erica, we find Team Rocket's leader, Giovanni. And apparently he's already defeated Erica in a battle, which means it's gonna be up to us to save Celadon City. Giovanni starts off with Haunch Sing, and we send in Robo-Drill, who's going to go for an Iron Head, getting a decent hit in as it then goes for a Drill Peck on us. And going for another Iron Head, it's going to get down quite low, and we get the flinch off, which is great. And with a second Iron Head, we flinch it again, which is going to have Giovanni healing up. And after going for 2 more Iron Heads, we are just flinching the ever-living bejesus out of this thing. And after a couple more Iron Heads, it goes down, leading into Kekdon, who is going to go for a Rock Slide, which we can resist, and a super effective Iron Head takes it down quite low. And a second Iron Head takes it out. Next up is Smeargar, who is going to go for a Quiver Dance, and we can go for an Iron Head, getting it down pretty low, activating its berry. Now afraid of a Destiny Bond, I'm going to switch things up, going for a Rock Slide, which we fortunately miss as it goes for a Quiver Dance this time. And when we connect with a Rock Slide, now it's down pretty low as he goes for another Destiny Bond, but unfortunately we hit it and Robo-Drill goes down. So let's send in Prickles, and his final Pokemon, Disdain, comes in. So we're going to swap out and send in Blazer instead as he goes for some Toxic Spikes. But we can go for a Flamethrower, bringing it down quite low as it goes for some more Toxic Spikes, and another Flamethrower takes it out. And unfortunately, we lost one of our best Pokemon type-wise, but we did defeat Giovanni, which is a huge milestone for this team. And now it's time for us to take on Erica and her Bug Boys. First Bug Boy in is going to be Syosum, and we send in Taser. And we can outspeed, going for a Fire Punch, doing about 50% as it decides to U-turn out, but it does get staticked, which is fantastic. This leads into Volcagem, her ace, who I assume is going to go for an Earth Power, so we swap out, sending in Prickles, and he does indeed go for an Earth Power. Then outspeeds us, going for a Fiery Dance, scoring a big hit as we go for a Stockpile. It then decides to go for a Giga Drain for reasons I can't possibly comprehend, and I go for a Draining Kiss to get some chip healing in. After that, it goes for an Earth Power, and I go for another Smoochy Kiss, and I get burnt, but fortunately I'm rocking a Lumberry. And with another Fiery Dance, I am left on 4, going for another Stockpile. And with another Earth Power, unfortunately, Prickles goes down. So let's try Teefs. And we can outspeed, connecting with an Aqua Tail and KOing Volcagem, but unfortunately, we're burnt. So enter Syosum again, who won't be able to outspeed us, so we can go for an Ice Fang, getting it down quite low as it decides to go for a Drain Punch instead of something useful like a Razor Leaf. And with another Ice Fang, we manage to take it down. Oleon comes in as our final Pokemon. And I'm going to swap out Teefs and send in Taser as it goes for an Acid Armor. Oleon then goes for a Steamroller, and we can go for a Thunder Punch, doing just about half, and we get the paralysis off. And even with the speed boost, now we're faster, so going for another Thunder Punch, we get it way down into the red. Erica then heals up with a Hyper Potion, and we're going to keep on punching, this time scoring a big hit, and another one getting it down super low, and with a Muddy Water, we are at just 17. But fortunately, because of the paralysis, we still outspeed, and we defeat Erica, but we lost another Pokemon. With the level cap increase, Blazer is going to be able to ascend into their final form of Type Drill. We're going to meet back up with this dork again and grab an armor fossil. We meet up with the renowned scientist Mr. Fuji at the top of Pokemon Tower, where apparently Team Rocket had kidnapped him because they were looking for the master plans to the Master Ball. Because what they want to do with those master plans for the Master Ball is construct more Master Balls to capture masterfully wonderful Pokemon. In fact, the 3 magnificent Cantonian legendary birds of myth. And with those master plans and master balls and catching those masterful, wonderful, majestic birds, Giovanni plans on fusing them together. Create the Master Fusion, a triple fusion so powerful he'll be able to take over everything. So we need to get to Silph Co quickly and stop Giovanni and Team Rocket. But first, I have another badge to get, dude. On Route 12, we're gonna dance for this sleeping bear, and then stuff it in a tiny ball. On Route 12, we're gonna grab our Roselia, and we're gonna backtrack to the SSN to grab ourselves a Torkoal. On Route 13, we get a 2-for-1 with Agast. On 14, we get a Mischievous. On 15, we're gonna get Iriados. On 18, we grab a Furret. In the Safari Zone, we're gonna grab Volcarona. And since it's technically a static encounter, we're also gonna grab a Golett. To start filling our team back up, we're gonna fuse Snorlax and Beedrill to get ourselves Snorgrill. And now it's time for us to take on Koga and his Dark Dudes. Golden Ninja comes in first, and we send in Taser, who is gonna outspeed us on the first turn, going for a Razor Shell, which we fortunately get the static off on, but it does drop our defense. When we go for a Fire Punch, we do just over 50%, and another one takes him down quite low. But another Razor Shell takes Taser out. So let's send in Blazer. Koga's then gonna heal up with a Hyper Potion, and we can go for a Flamethrower, Oko, and Taser, which leads into Haunchfire, who is going to go for a Thunder Wave, and that's incredibly frustrating, and we're going to go for a Sunny Day. After that, it's going to go for a Drill Peck, which is going to do just about 50%, and unfortunately, we're paralyzed. Once the Sucker Punch comes in, we're knocked down to just 8 HP, but we can go for a Flamethrower, scoring a big hit. So let's swap out and send in Snoozer as he heals up again. Haunchfire then goes for another Drill Peck, and we can go for a Body Slam, doing just about half. After getting hit with a Sucker Punch, another Body Slam is going to bring this thing down quite low. And once it connects with a Thunder, we can take it down with another Body Slam, which leads into Wirion, who's going to go for a Dark Pulse, taking Snoozer down to 12 Beepers. So let's swap out and send in Teefs, getting the Intimidate off on this thing as it goes for another Dark Pulse. We're going to go for an Aqua Tail, bringing it down pretty low, as a Dark Pulse is going to bring us down just below half. And with another Aqua Tail, we take it down even lower as we're going to get hit down a bit low ourselves. And with one more Aqua Tail, we take it down, which leads into Memorack, who's going to go for a Play Rough on us, which we can resist, but it will lower our attack as we break its disguise. And after getting hit with the Sucker Punch, we are at 6 HP before we heal up a... I don't have a choice here. I have to stay in, tank a Sucker Punch, and go down. So let's send in Snoozer. I'm going to try to wait out this thing's Sucker Punches by going for some Scary Faces because I need to do something here. And I think it's used 4 of them at this point, but I'm honestly not sure as we go for another Scary Face, and it goes for a Play Rough, keeping us up on 27. And I don't call it as another Sucker Punch comes in KOing Snoozer, but he should be out now. It's then going to U-turn out, but it has nowhere left to hide, and we can go for a Flamethrower, taking down the Memorack, and we just barely beat Koga. We are going to fuse up Polysand with Beedrill and get ourselves Drill. But don't worry, it was just a sprite error. Check out this awesome sprite. And next up is going to be Blastoise, who we're going to fuse up and get this fantastic Blast Drill. Next up, we're going to be fusing Volcarona with Beedrill to get ourselves Beerona. And finally, fusing up with Houndoom is going to get us Houndrill. And for saving everybody in Silph, we're going to get a Lapras. After saving everybody in Silph, we run into Rando, who's still really upset that we didn't wait for him before saving everybody back in Celadon City. And he demands that now it's time for him to be the hero and to get the heck out of his way. Rando starts off with Seagu, and we are going to send in Blaster. I'm going to start laying down some Toxic Spikes because honestly I need all the help I could get. After I tank a Dragon Pulse, I'm able to get the second one down, and another Dragon Pulse comes in. We're then going to go for a Surf for some reason, and then I'm going to get Body Slam down pretty low. I'm then going to swap out and send in Rattan instead, as it then goes for another Dragon Pulse. We can outspeed with a Psychic, getting it down quite low, and another Dragon Pulse comes in, getting me down low. So we're going to go for another 2 Psychics, taking the Seagu out, which leads into Madlim, who I was hoping we'd outspeed, but we don't. Okie dokie then, let's send in Dozer. And this thing's going to go for an Acrobatics, and we can go for a Toxic right away. Now it hits us with an Ice Slash, and we can go for a Venoshock, bringing it down quite low as it heals up with its Citrus Berry. And after going for another Night Slash, another Venoshock takes it out, which leads into Renewyon. And assuming a Psychic move, I'm going to swap out and send in Doggo, as it does indeed go for a Psychic. After that, it's going to go for a Shadow Ball on us, doing some minimal damage, and we can go for an Assurance, scoring a pretty good hit. After it heals up a bit with its Citrus Berry and goes for a Hyper Voice, we're going to heal up with our own Citrus Berry as I go for a Nasty Plot. And after taking another Shadow Ball, we can go for a Flamethrower, bringing it down low enough for the poison to take it down, which leads into Deladash. It's going to go for an Anchor Shot, trapping me in, and we can go for an Assurance, doing about 70%. And the unfortunate thing here now is that I can't run away, but for some reason it goes for a Shadow Claw, which allows me to take it down with another Assurance, which leads into Niniard, who obviously can't get poisoned, but we need to swap out, so I am, and I'm going to send in Laser. The Niniard then goes for a Night Slash, getting me down to about half, and we can go for a Flamethrower, bringing it down to its Focus Sash. It then decides to go for a Swords Dance instead of trying to KO me, so we can go for a Flamethrower, grabbing that KO, which leads into Whimsray, who is super poisoned. And I don't think it'll be able to KO me with any of its moves, so we can go in for a Flamethrower when it goes for a Substitute. It then is going to go for a Giga Drain, which barely does anything, but it does activate our own berry, and we can go for a Flamethrower, taking it out. And we defeat Rando, but we did lose our bird. We bust into the president's office where we see him and Giovanni arguing. Master Ball production, he needs more of them. Where are my balls, Mr. President? The Silph president then reaches deep into his pants, producing 2 more Master Balls, which means with the one that Giovanni already has in his pants, That makes 3. And that means that with the Master Plants creating the Master Balls, Team Rocket's Master Plan can officially begin. But not so fast, Daddy Geo. Enter 2 small children, who are actually big adult men, here to stop you in your crime. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but anyways, Age of Magius and Haunting come in. And I love this new Age of Magius skin. I have not seen that one before, but it's gonna go for a flash cannon right away, bringing Sigu down to about half, and we can go for a flamethrower, bringing it down quite low, activating its berry to heal up. Haunting then goes for a haze, but I didn't do anything. And a muddy water, excuse us young man, is going to come in on their side of the field. Giovanni then uses a max potion, and we can go for another flamethrower, grabbing the Yoko as this thing tries to go for a sludge bomb, but it misses. Ketgon comes in next. And I assume it's going to go for an earthquake, and it does, and I probably should have swapped out because Blazer is 100% dead, and so is Siku. So let's send in Dozer and Manlim. We have a huge problem because every single one of my Pokemon is weak to ground. But Manlim's going to go for a close combat on the Haunting, doing a decent amount of damage, as the Sludge Bomb is going to come in on Manlim, doing quite a bit. Actually, it KO'd it in one shot. Anywho, Dozer's then going to go for a Giga Drain on Ketgon, and even though it's super effective, it does effectively nothing as Deldash comes in. After that, Deldash is going to go for a Flame Charge on the Haunting, and it's going to go for another Earthquake on Ketgon, which KOs both of us. So let's send in Blaster, I guess, and Inyard. Inyard goes for an X-Scissor on Haunting, getting it down to the red as Ketgon decides to go for a Rock Slide, and then after that I can go for a Surf, getting Ketgon down below half and taking care of Haunting. From here, Donzor comes in. Inyard's going to go for an Iron Head on Ketgon, taking it down, which is wonderful, and Blaster can go for a Surf, taking Donzor down to half as it then goes for an Iron Head. And because of its Life Orb, now it's down below half as Renewyon comes in. Renewyon goes for a Hyper Voice, I go for a Surf, Donzor goes down, and we should have lost, but for some reason he wasn't using Earthquake nearly as often as he should have. And with Giovanni defeated and my team in shambles, he and Team Rocket take their leave with their 3 Master Balls in hand. But I didn't realize that the recording got messed up when I fused up my new team, so first up we have Bayou the Beeligator, Paladrone the Aegidrill, and finally Barbs the Haunch Drill. So now it's time for us to take on Sabrina and her fairies. He's going to start out by sending in a Torwile, and we send in Bayou, who's going to go for a Sucker Punch right away, doing some minimal damage to us, and we can go for a Poison Jab, scoring a massive hit. Sabrina's going to heal up with a Max Potion, and we can go for another Poison Jab as she then heals up again. And going for another couple of Poison Jabs, we can take it down. Next out comes Reservoir, who's going to go for a Psychic on us, but we can tank it pretty well, and we can go for a super effective Poison Jab, taking it down, but unfortunately we're going to get poisoned. Next out comes Marikyu. And this stinks, but this is my only Pokemon not weak to ground, so I have to stay in, breaking its disguise, and fortunately it misses. On the following turn, we can go for a Poison Jab, scoring a pretty big hit and getting the poison off before it goes for a Play Rough, which is going to KO Bayou. I'm going to send Queenie in and go for a Sludge Bomb, bringing the Marikyu down quite low as a Boomerang is going to slam into me. And with one more, we can then take it down, which leads into Clefclang. And since this thing has unawares, I can't afford to go for a Quiver Dance, and I'm going to get knocked down to just 38 as I go for a Fiery Dance, getting a good hit on this thing. After that, the Clefclang is going to go for a Play Rough, bringing me down to 21 HP. And one more Fiery Dance takes it down, and we defeat Sabrina. We lost our little Gator. On Route 21, we're going to grab ourselves a Staryu. On Cinnabar Island, we grab our Absol. And in Pokemon Mansion, a Pawniard. And now it's time for us to take on Blaine and his Psychic Pokemon. Mr. Clank comes in first, and I'm going to send in Blaster. It's going to go for a Gear Grind on the first turn, and I'm going to lay down some Toxic Spikes. On the following turn, it goes for a Zen Headbutt, and we can lay down some more spikes. Assuming it is going to go for another Zen Headbutt, we're going to swap into Queenie, who can tank it no problem. And from here, it's going to go for a Shift Gear, which is a little concerning, and we're going to go for a Quiver Dance. After that, it goes for an Encore, and I guess I might as well give it what it wants, and we're going to go for another Quiver Dance before getting hit with a Zen Headbutt and lowering this thing's attack, thankfully. We're then going to go for another Quiver Dance, as another Zen Headbutt does a lot less to us this time. And now we're at, I think, +4, and I really hope I can break out of this soon because I need to start hitting this thing. And I get my wish, and now that the Encore is ended, we can quickly take down Mr. Clang. Next up comes Wublord. And I know this thing has Mirror Coat, so I'm not risking that. We're swapping out and sending in Doggo as it goes for a Smog. I'm going to go for a Flamethrower, doing effectively nothing as it goes for a Body Slam. And after that, we can go for a Nasty Plot, and it tries to go for a counter. I'm going to go for another Nasty Plot, and it's going to try to go for a Mirror Coat, which obviously won't do anything to me. He then swaps out Wublord and sends in Magmarish, and now it's badly poisoned, and we are at +6. And I can go for a Sludge Bomb, taking it down, no problem, which leads back into Wublord, who one more Sludge Bomb can take care of. When Magros comes in last, we can go for a Flamethrower, getting it down wicked low, and a Meteor Mash takes down Doggo, which is unfortunate, but here comes Barbs. He's going to go for another Meteor Mash, scoring a massive hit on us, and we can go for an Acrobatics, grab the KO, and we defeat Blaine. We're going to head back to Pewter City and go ahead and show this bug enthusiast a bug, and then get ourselves a Planko. On the offshore road, we're going to grab a Sharpedo. And it's now time for us to get our Bug Bomb ready. So let's fuse up with Fortress and get ourselves Beatrice. And we're going to grab ourselves a Dodrio inside of Mount Ember. After fighting our way through Mount Ember, we find Giovanni and a bunch of rocket grunts, where it turns out that Giovanni has managed to capture all 3 Cantonian legendary birds. But that's not all. Team Rocket's Triple Fusion project is officially complete. So Giovanni, with the Master Ball plans, got the Master Balls, and he mastered Triple Fusion. And now he will master nature itself by fusing all 3 legendary birds. But there's one thing Giovanni didn't count on. Me, a little bug boy, not afraid of any stupid birds. So it's going to be time for us to see if our band of bugs can take down the Cantonian legendary trio. Giovanni sends in Zapmokuno, and I send in Beatrice. And a normal gem-boosted explosion hopefully is enough, because if it's not, I'm screwed. It's not. I'm probably screwed. Okay, let's send in Blaster. And when I am Blaster, go for a Surf. Luckily, the 3 birds barely go down. And with that, Giovanni's hopes and dreams have been destroyed. And with Giovanni defeated, the 3 birds defuse and go back to where they're supposed to. Thank you for your service, Beatrice. Giovanni, I'll catch you in just a couple of minutes. Needing to fill our team back up, we are going to fuse with Miss Magius to get this cute little Mistral. And finally, fusing up with Machamp is going to give us B-Champ. And check out this awesome sprite. And now it's time for us to take on Giovanni and his regular everyday normal guys. Disdain comes in first, and I send in Blaster. And my plan here is, because Blaster basically can't hit himself, is to set up some Toxic Spikes so I can hopefully do some chip damage to the rest of his team. And after setting down the 2 layers of spikes, I'm going to go for a Flash Cannon of my own to see how much damage we do. The answer's not a lot. So let's swap out and send in B-Champ instead, as it goes for a Flash Cannon. After getting hit again, I can go for a Thunder Punch, getting him down quite low as he swaps out, sending in Stanfox, and then I can go for another Thunder Punch. Assuming a Psyshock, I'm going to swap out and send in Barbs, and he goes for a Dazzling Gleam instead. And with another Dazzling Gleam, I'm down to about half, but a Night Slash takes out Stanfox, which leads into Snorking, who's going to go for an Earth Power, taking care of Barbs. So let's send in Blaster, who can go for a Surf, scoring a decent hit as it goes for an Earth Power again, getting me down super low, but Blaster's the only one that I think can even tank anything from this thing. And we can go for another Surf, bringing him down quite low as a Thunderbolt KOs. We're then going to send in B-Champ, where I can go for a Cross Chop and finish off Snorking, leading into Tyran King. It's going to outspeed me, going for a Play Rough, KOing me right away. So here comes Palindrome. And this thing has Truant, and we can go for a quad super effective Sacred Sword, but it has a berry cutting the damage down as it goes for a Retaliate, but it does basically nothing to us. And another Sacred Sword takes out Tyran King, which leads into Mapam, who's going to go for a Karate Chop, which is only going to do neutral damage to us, and after we get healed up, we can go for a Sacred Sword, bringing him down below half. He then swaps out Mapam and sends in Disdain, who's gonna get poisoned and then taken out with a Sacred Sword, which leads back into Mapam, and after tanking a dual chop, we can go for another Sacred Sword, bringing him down, and we just barely scoot by Giovanni. On Victory Road, we grab ourselves Aswelius. Needing to rebuild our team, first thing we're gonna do is take Bisharp and fuse it up to get ourselves B-Sharp. We are also fusing this up because Jace made Buck Bumble. John, remember to put the Buck Bumble music in here for 2 seconds. What a random N64 game. Next up is going to be Hydreigon, who we are going to fuse up as well to grab ourselves Hydrill. And I love that the other two heads are just little Weedle faces as the stingers. Fantastic. And for our final fusion, it's going to be time for Krabby to fuse up with Beedrill to get us BB. And obviously BB's going to evolve like literally immediately, becoming this thing. Alright everybody, now that we've made it to the Elite Four gates, let's take a quick look at our team before we face off against them. First up, we have Peladrone the Aegitrill with Iron Head, Toxic Spikes, King Shield, and Swords Dance. Tina the Verona with Fiery Dance, Bug Buzz, Sludge Bomb, and Quiver Dance. Winky the Mistrill with Psychic, Energy Ball, Power Gem, and Hex. Buck the B-Sharp with Iron Head, Night Slash, Poison Jab, and Swords Dance. Meek the Beeler with Crab Hammer, Poison Jab, Ice Beam, and Swords Dance. And finally, Weedles the Hydrill with Flamethrower, Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, and Earthquake. And now it's time for us to take on Lorelei or Water Pokemon. Rotoad comes in first, and I'm going to send in Winky. And going for an Energy Ball, we can grab almost the KO in one as it Volt Switches out and sends in Ludnix. It's going to go for a Giga Drain, doing basically nothing, and we can go for an Energy Ball, scoring a pretty massive hit. But assuming a Psychic, we're going to swap out and send in Weedles instead as it goes for a Scald. I'm then going to go for a Dark Pulse on the following turn, getting it way down into the red as it goes for another Scald on me. Lorelei is then going to use a full Restore, and we can go for another Dark Pulse, bringing it down quite low. And with one more Dark Pulse, Ludnix goes down, which leads into Starkazin. And assuming a fighting move, we're going to swap out, sending Winky in as it goes for a Hydro Pump. After that, it's going to go for a Dazzling Gleam, which is not very effective, and we can go for an Energy Ball, getting a massive hit on this thing. Lorelei then heals up, and we go for another Energy Ball, bringing it down quite low. He then swaps out and sends in Rotoad, who we can KO. Alright, here's Scartops, who was going to outspeed us with a Waterfall, KOing Winky. So here comes Meek, who can tank a Waterfall pretty well, and we can go for a Crab Hammer, and even though it's not very effective with the Mystic Water, it does a decent amount of damage. And with another Waterfall, we can go for another Crab Hammer, getting it down into the red. But then it goes for a Brave Bird. Bye, Meek. Alright, here's Weedles. I'm going to get outsped again, and a crit takes out Weedles. Alright, so none of my Pokemon are faster than Startops, and I'm going to send in Buck. And when this thing goes for an Iron Head, I flinch. And after that, a Waterfall scores a massive hit, which is going to activate our Berry, and I can go for a Night Slash, barely taking this thing down. Darkazin comes back in again, and I can go for an Iron Head, barely taking it down as well, which leads into Kingstar. And I'm going to go for a Swords Dance as this thing goes for a Rock Slide. And going for an Iron Head, we bring it down quite low, but a Waterfall KOs Buck. Alright, here's Paladrone. Kingstar is going to go for a Shell Smash. We can go for an Iron Head, and it's not gone yet. And it's going to go for a Waterfall, activating our Berry, and I can go for a Fell Stinger, taking it down, which is going to increase our attack. Titanic comes in as her final Pokemon, and it's going to go for a Leech Seed, and we can go for a Fell Stinger, doing almost half. But I need to act quickly because this thing is a draining monster. Going for another Fell Stinger, we're going to get it down pretty low, but we are still not out of the woods yet here. It then goes for a Blizzard, and we go for another Fell Stinger, bringing it down like literally to nothing. And with the Scald, Paladrone goes down. So only Queenie remains. And we outspeed with a Bug Buzz, taking down Titanic. And this is our only Pokemon left. So with only one Pokemon remaining, let's see if this bug can beat rocks. Probably not. Alright, let's go for a Quiver Dance. And Tyransan is going to go for Stone Edge, KO Queenie. And after all of that, our little bees came so far, but it wasn't enough to take on the Elite Four in one of the hardest modes of this game. Remix mode is significantly more difficult than Classic mode and basically any randomizer I've ever done. And I'm honestly surprised we made it as far as we did. But if you liked the video and you made it this far and this isn't your first time here, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. And let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see a retry of these little bees doing their thing. I really wanted to recreate the first video I ever did on the channel, but remix mode is definitely something not to be trifled with. And even though Poison is a good secondary typing, that doesn't change the fact that I'm rocking with a Beedrill. None of the Pokemon I used for the entirety of this run had a base stat total over 500. So there's only so much that I can do. But anyways, let me know in the comments down below what other types of runs and games you'd like to see me tackle in the future. But I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.